What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to go over 10 facts that you should probably know about the A7IV before you buy it. Let's get into it. The first thing you should know about the A7IV is that it's a full frame camera. So that means this camera has no crop, and essentially full frame cameras do a bit better in low light as well. So whenever you have a lens, let's say you have a 35mm lens and you put it on your camera, that means it's going to be a 35mm lens. Or if you had a crop sensor, if you put a 35 on there, you might have something close to a 55. The second fact you should know about this camera is it offers focus breathing compensation. So what that does is it crops the screen in a little bit and it stops the edges from doing that focus breathing thing. Essentially, if you don't know what it is, when you change focus from something close to like something far away, you'll see the screen kind of move back and forth and it kind of almost looks like a breathing effect. So that eliminates that completely. I know a lot of Sony cameras that recently came out, like the A7S3 and the FX3, don't offer that. So that's something that you actually do get with the A7IV. Okay, so that bridge up there, that's where I was trying to go. Somehow I ended up below it. Gotta figure out how to get up there. The next fact you should probably know about this camera is it has a 7K sensor. So that means the camera downsamples from 7K to 4K and you get really sharp 4K. Looks fantastic. It looks even better than the A7S3, which is crazy because the A7S3 I think is like another $1,000 extra, at least here in Australia. So that's a plus. This park is insanely huge. I think we're coming up to the bridge though. The fourth fact you should know about the A7IV is it does offer crop mode. So if you don't want to use full frame, or if you need to punch in a bit more, then you can do that. You can just dial in crop mode and it works great for my 20mm lens. If I want to get some B-roll, I can use crop mode and get a 35mm, or I guess more of a 30mm equivalent. And yeah, it works great. So if you want the option to use crop mode, that's what this camera offers. So something like the A7S3 or the FX3, I don't actually think they offer crop mode. So that's something that you're getting in this camera that you wouldn't get in those types of cameras. Get such a good view. Kings Park, pretty epic. The fifth fact you should know about the A7IV is if you're into color grading and color correction using S-Log2 and S-Log3, then it's good to know that the phantom LUTs work great with the A7IV. If you're not sure what the phantom LUTs are, they're just really famous LUTs to use for grading S-Log2 and S-Log3 footage for things like the A7S3 and the FX3, FX6. It's not really listed to be used with the A7IV, but it does work really well with the A7IV. The sixth fact that you probably already might know is the camera offers S-Cinetone. So if you don't like using S-Log2 or S-Log3, you can use S-Cinetone, which is in all of their cinema cameras. It's a really nice picture profile, it looks great. However, you're gonna get the best dynamic range in S-Log2 or S-Log3, but that option is there if you don't like color grading or color correction. Why do you gotta be so hot, Australia? I swear, I think I was designed for like the cold mountains or something. How weird these things are. Kind of look like corn on the cob. Where am I? So the seventh fact you should know about this camera is it offers a dual ISO. Now it isn't listed to have a dual ISO, but I think most people agree that the dual ISO would probably be 800 and 3200 in this camera. At least 3200 is where it clears up the most. However, a lot of the higher ISOs in this camera look a lot better than something like the A7S3 until you get to something like 12,800, which still looks really good in this camera. However, it looks a little bit better in the A7S3. But that's not to take away from how incredible this camera is at low light. It's a beast, it's a low light beast. So if you are looking for a low light beast and you can't quite afford something like the A7S3 or the FX3, this is still a good buy. I feel like Sony should be sponsoring this. I'm like selling their cameras for them. Okay, let's keep going. So the 8th fact that you should know about this camera is when you go to 60 frames per second, you get forced into crop mode, which can be unfortunate for some people. For me, it works out because 60 frames, I usually am shooting slow-mo, and when I'm shooting slow motion, I'm usually punched in a bit more. And right now, I just have a pretty minimal kit, so I have this 20mm. So if I want to get B-roll, I can't zoom in with a 20mm, but since it crops in, it punches into a 30mm equivalent, like I was saying earlier, which is great for B-roll. So it's kind of like almost a 35 when I add stabilization on top of that. So it works out for me. It can be a downer or it could be, you know, not such a big deal to you guys. So that's up to you guys to decide. This place is kind of sick. It's just like a long path of grass. Same thing going this way. The 9th fact you should know about this camera is it has a flip LCD screen, or a fully articulated LCD screen. Not sure the proper term for it, but screen flips out so you can see yourself. A lot of the older Sony cameras, it only had that tilt up screen, which I'm not a fan of at all. So good on you, Sony, for adding the flip LCD screen. I think I just got bit by something. So last but not least, the final fact that you guys should know about the A7IV, sorry, itchy head, is it's not that exciting. I think it's kind of cool though. It's a little switch for photo, video, and S&Q mode underneath the mode dial. It's kind of nifty. I don't know. I've never had it. I used to be on Canon before this, so, you know, and Canon never offered that, and I'm pretty sure Sony never had that before with any other camera. So it's pretty cool. It's easy to swap between photo and video. It's just a real quick switch. I mean, I know mode dial, you can just kind of, you know, twist it to photo and video, but I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. I needed one last fact to tell you guys about the camera. Anyways, I'm almost to my destination, which is my wife and kids. And I hope you enjoyed this video. And it was a bit of a kind of a rough video, walking around, hiking with me. Thanks for hiking with me though. Nice to chat with a friend. Okay. All right, I think I'm gonna end it here. If you enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe, comment down below, do all the YouTube stuff. I'd greatly appreciate it. And make sure to protect yourself from flies. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Peace, everybody.